Obsidian Entertainment's Pentiment is finally here, offering up a historical murder mystery filled with weighty consequences, interesting characters, branching paths, and a lot of hidden education. I absolutely loved Pentiment and wrote up a review on our main site, which there is a link to in the description. So here are 3 reasons that Pentiment is a perfect gem of a game. Most of your time in Pentiment is spent learning about the people and stories of the fictional Bavarian village of Tassel. The game's story then really kicks off when the player is tasked with solving a local murder. One of my favorite aspects of how the game handles its investigations is that players have a limited amount of time to work with. There's never enough time to investigate every lead or possibility, leaving players with the pressure of deciding which seems the most important. This means that when it comes time to accuse someone of a murder, that it is impossible for players to have the complete picture, forcing them to only consider a fraction of the suspects and make the best call that they can. These choices are also made difficult to make because of the weight they carry and how complicated the game's characters are. Previous conversations carry a lot of influence over how much information characters will reveal to the player, and many of the suspects are so well written that you won't want to accuse them because you just like them. This also helps make replaying the game seem much more appealing, as it is impossible to see everything Pentiment has to offer in just a single playthrough. With how much dialogue and reading there is in Pentiment, the game lives and dies by how strongly written it is. Luckily, the writing is fantastic. Not only does dialogue and conversations feel wholly natural, but the writing is also elevated by Pentiment's ability to explore heady topics and spark tangents of thoughts about them in the player's head. Seamlessly blended into the game's plot progression and casual discussions with characters are philosophical discussions of the time, from giving an opinion on the Protestant Reformation to debating whether or not freely available knowledge is better than controlling public knowledge for safety. Pentiment pushes players to really engage with not only its world, but the problems and issues that help define it. This requires Pentiment to place a lot of trust in the maturity and good faith of its player base, but the risk pays off in spades. While not every player will enjoy the slow pace of the game and its myriad conversations, those who do will find one of the most mature and thought-provoking games in years. Pentiment is set in the 16th century and goes to painstaking effort to ensure that it is as historically accurate as possible. This helps the game feel extremely immersive, as well as grounding its stories in the real world and humanity. There are tons of awesome details, far too many to cover in a short YouTube video. There are mini-games that provide a peek into some of the processes and ideas of the time, an entire glossary of terms that can be checked to give context to discussions, and even its entire visual direction is derived from the style of the time. One particularly interesting detail, however, is Pentiment's dialogue text. A character's dialogue is presented in a different style to illustrate how the main character views them, and takes into account their history, tone, and level of education. The dialogue is also animated to match how writing was performed at the time, with the outlines of letters being drawn first and later filled in, as well as religious terms being written last and in red ink. After it is written, the ink can even be seen soaking into the page it is written on, losing its clarity and fading slightly. The attention to detail is extremely impressive, and any history buff will be able to lose hours just exploring and seeing the elements that have been integrated into Pentiment. In closing, I know that Pentiment is far from a game that will appeal to everyone. Its slow pacing, emphasis on dialogue and reading, as well as its unique presentation will seem too slow or boring for many. However, the game also does something truly special. It is a work of art that leaves a lasting impact on those who witness it, which is a noteworthy accomplishment. If any of what I've talked about in this video sounds interesting to you, I can't recommend enough downloading Pentiment and giving it a try for yourself. Thanks for watching, and if you like this content, make sure to subscribe for more and check out our written coverage at bwhytho.net. We'll see you next time.